Hi
Hey,
guys, we're live
let's see
and we're on
here.
opposite sides. I'm really on his left.
And I'm on her right.
Yeah,
I am, yeah.
I mean you are, but it looks weird because we look backwards on the camera.
I
All right,
don't
so
know how to
this
fix it.
month is one of my favorite months. It is February, so it's romance love movie month. And we might have gotten in, or at least I got in quite a lot of movies this week. So we're going to try to get through them a little faster because we've got a lot to get through. So while he's playing around trying to switch the camera,
I look so confused. You romance.
oh,
So
stop. So they're good. We found some good ones that have a
I
good mix.
I have expressed my disgust or non-excitement for this month. However, um, these movies are pretty good. So if you love your wife and not necessarily will choose these out of your own, but can enjoy watching them with her, these are some great movies.
Okay, he's right. But we did have to wrap up our Justice Crime Month. There was one movie that we were halfway through last Sunday when we went live. So we went ahead and finished up that movie. So we'll start with that one and then we'll jump into our romancy movies.
Mm-hmm.
So that movie to finish off our Crime Justice Month is Jackie Brown from
Jackie Brown.
1997.
It's a Tarantino film,
It is.
and so we are expecting something along the lines of maybe Pulp Fiction or Kill Bill.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what other films that he's made off the top of my head.
And there were some parts in it that kind of resembled that to us. So go ahead and describe it a little bit.
So I think the way it was filmed, it was this was maybe the 70s time frame.
Yeah,
It had that 70s feel to
it
it.
did.
So that is one aspect of Tarantino. He really captures
Hey,
the
Miyoko.
period in which it was shot. And so this is about Jackie Brown, as the title suggests, and she is a flight attendant
Slash
who,
convict.
yes, she has a partnership with a few people who are in the business of doing illegal things.
Selling guns illegally.
Yep, that would be Samuel L. Jackson's character.
Yeah, which I've seen him in other movies, and it just, I don't know, it just seemed like a different role. I didn't really care for him in this movie. I thought he was kind of annoying and just.
And he had a different look to him. He was not
He did.
bald like Nick
Yeah.
Fury. He had straight, long hair.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know. It was weird to me. It didn't seem like him. To me, it seemed like he was trying to play somebody he wasn't.
I think the way he spoke was kind of still classic Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, that's true.
But yes, it was a kind of a different character still.
Yeah.
There was appearance by Chris Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
Was that who it was? Yeah, Chris Tucker. A lot of people know him from Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And
he wasn't in it very long.
He
got
wasn't
killed
in it very
off
long.
pretty quick.
And the other guy that I recognized is he happens to play Tim Allen's dad in Last Man Standing. And we've also seen him in other movies as well.
Yeah. So with this movie, it was basically if you are the smartest bad guy, you survived. So it kind of ended up, they were working with each other, but as soon as they felt double crossed in any way by the other one, they were out for blood.
Yeah, they were always
take them out
on top of each other's plans to, like she said, last man standing. Pretty much, you always want to come out ahead and not be the weak. I'm out of metaphors.
Right. So, of course, in the end, hence the name of the movie, Jackie Brown survives and kills off. Well, Samuel L. Jackson's character killed off all the other guys.
Yeah.
And then who was left was him or her. And so she knew that he was going to be out to get her. And she was kind of trying to do good, working with the police and trying to help them catch him because she knew that he had done some things that he shouldn't have and went after some people that she, I think, cared about or at least didn't want to see dead. And
And if they caught him, then she wouldn't have to worry about her own
Yeah,
life
she
being
was going to be
taken.
released from her
Yeah.
parole. So she kind of had a dual reason for doing that, and she knew that it was either him or her, and she wasn't going to take that chance. So
Yep.
she
was clever.
wasn't the one that killed him either. She just set it up so that the police would show up when he showed up to kill her.
Yeah.
And then they shot him and killed him. So she didn't even have to do the crime.
Yep, and that was Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton was one of the police officers.
Yeah.
The
and I liked him in
Batman.
that role. Yeah. I like him. He's a good actor.
Yep. He was in another one of the movies that we watched during Christmas where he was the snowman.
Yeah.
Was it Frosty?
Jack Frost.
Jack Frost,
yep.
Yeah.
He was the lead in Jack Frost.
Good actor.
Yeah. So overall, there's a lot of language in this movie, a lot of killing,
so
obviously. So, I mean, if you're not one for a lot of language and blood, then this would not be the movie for you. But overall, the storyline was easy to follow. It was a typical who's gonna come out in the end kind of movie.
I think for story, for even some creative cinematography, then you'll enjoy it. I would probably give it a 6.5.
I agree. I would probably give it a 6.5 also. Yeah, that's a good rating.
So that closes out
Crime Justice Month. Yep. Now on to Romance Month. Okay, and most of these movies that we watched this week were recommended by our friends. So each one that we go through, we're going to give a shout out to that person who recommended the movie to us. So hopefully that'll encourage you guys. Hopefully that'll encourage you guys to suggest some movies to us so that you can hear your name shouted out. Well, we won't give any last names just for privacy purposes. Yeah. We'll just give your first name and a thank you for taking the time to recommend the movie to us. So
Bob Smith.
There's no Bob Smith.
There's plenty of Bob Smiths.
No Bob Smith recommended a love movie to us this month. But, the first movie is Purple Heart from 2022. This was recommended by Valerie. Thanks, Valerie. This one we had actually seen before. We realized it once the movie started playing that it was one we had watched last year, I want to say. But we never did review it. So we went ahead and added it in for the review this time. It's basically about a group of Marines. Okay. Marines, and they're all ready to go out on active duty, and they're out at a bar. Yeah. Met up with some friends and
kind of their last night out before being deployed.
Yeah. So of course they want to hang out, party a little bit before they go out on deployment. And the lead actress was actually friends with one of the military guys and got to meet some of his comrades. And he owed money. So gambling debt, one of the military guys, a friend of her friend.
I think it was drug debt because he was
you're right,
in the drug business with a friend who
before he straightened himself out. So he knew the military would help straighten him out. So he joined the military to kind of get his life together and get his act together. But that was his past a little bit that he still was working on cleaning up, was that drug debt. So he knew he had to pay that off to secure his family so the rest of his family wouldn't be bothered by this guy. And she had medical issues. She was diabetic, couldn't afford her insulin.
Worked 3 jobs.
Yeah. And so they got this unbright idea to get married to basically cheat the government so that she would get health care and he would get the family stipend so that he could pay off his debt. That's the basic story of it. And so
so they both had needs.
Yeah.
And this was kind of a illegal cooperative.
Yeah. And they were taking their chances.
Endeavor.
They knew it was illegal and they were just hoping to not get caught. And it kind of shows different things playing out in all of that. They had to, of course, pretend they were married. So they had to put on a front in front of his comrades when he was on deployment, and so she got to witness some of the things, the heartache and stuff that they were going through while they were gone, and kind of some of the battling that they had going on there.
I think one of my favorite parts of this movie were their extreme
Differences.
their differences. So he was obviously a patriot.
He was conservative, very much so,
and she was a leftist.
Yeah.
Leftist.
She had every flag.
So you got one who loves
hanging.
America and one who hates America.
Pretty much. Not necessarily hates America, but hates the idea of war and fighting, and so she was kind of really adamant about that in the beginning, but she changed her tune, and she was a singer, and she ended up, after seeing some of the things he was dealing with, wrote songs about the military and about the men overseas and bringing them home and things like that. So
this is I wonder how arranged marriages went. Did people typically know each other in arranged marriages?
No.
And so the whole
necessarily.
movie was about them kind of learning about each other's differences.
Mhm.
And what was interesting to me is that when he was overseas, they would have video chats, and they exchanged letters, and they seemed to enjoy getting to know one another, except for when he came home, it seemed very different. Things still seemed awkward between the two. But I didn't really understand that part. I thought that after several exchanges.
Well, I think because they had to put on such a front to make it look legit to the military, that they over accentuated. But then when they were in person, it was real.
Mm-hmm.
So it was
okay.
It's easier to be
it's probably
involved
the way they
in
filmed
something
it.
when it's long distance versus when it's right in front of you. So I think that was kind of, but anyway, in the long scheme of things, they ended up falling in love, and he did get sentenced for the illegal marriage.
Yeah, he admitted to it. He took full responsibility
and served 6 years in MP military prison.
I think it was 6 months. It was just 6 months.
Didn't I say?
You said 6 years.
Oh, 6 months. Sorry, I meant 6 months.
And he was going to get discharged after that.
Dishonorably discharged, which is a bummer, and that's not something you want if military is your goal. And sometimes it can be hard to get a civilian job after that, depending on what your discharge was for.
But he accepted the consequence. He finally got the respect from his dad that he had been looking for, because he had made poor choices before. So his dad didn't think very highly of him. And so him accepting that responsibility was good.
Yeah.
And so there was some growth for both leads.
Yeah.
So that's why I really liked it. It was neat.
I liked that in the end there was the union of the two of them, that they realized that they did love each other, and that they did want to make a go of everything, and
despite all their differences.
Yeah. So it's a cute movie. I love it.
I'd probably give it a 7.
Yeah, I would give it a 7.5 to an 8. Actually, I think it's really, really good.
And that was my second time enduring it, and it's entertaining.
It's a good
movie. See,
Okay.
I gave it a higher rating than Jackie Brown.
So that was Purple Heart. The next one is The Notebook from 2004, and this.
Take notes. That was me taking notes in my notebook.
That was bad. Okay.
Notes.
This was recommended by both Tina and Crystal. So thanks, ladies. This movie is based off of a Nicholas Sparks book, The Notebook.
They die in the end.
Okay. So if you know anything about Nicholas Sparks as an author, he always has a love story, and he always has a death. So every one of his books, somebody dies.
This one, but they both died.
It's always a love story.
Everyone dies, That's quoting Kindergarten Cop.
Okay, yeah.
The kid said that.
Back to the movie. So this movie I've seen hundreds of times. It's one of my favorite, probably one of my favorite movies based off of a Nicholas Sparks book. I've read the book. I've seen the movie. They are pretty close to being about the same. So this is set in southern early 1900s, I guess.
Yes.
I
forget what decade this was.
I want to say it's South Carolina. South Carolina. He's always all of his characters are from South or North Carolina, one of the Carolinas. But that's where the background is, and I forget how did they. Oh, they met through friends. The two main characters, Noah and
they are a different class of
Yeah.
people. He was from
yes,
a poor family, and
Mm-hmm.
she was born into wealth.
yes,
However,
Noah and Allie.
they had this chemistry, but you can kind of think of the Titanic story where you had Rose, who was in the upper class, and you had Jack,
Yeah,
Jack, who was
who's
the lower class. And
Mhm.
despite them having that chemistry, they just it wasn't gonna work.
But it did.
But it did in the end, except they died.
But this one didn't work that way. It's a bad analogy. Okay, so Jack was the lower, now you got me. Noah was the lower class. Allie was from the upper class family. They met through friends. In the scheme of things, they fell in love, but they fought a lot. Also, her parents kind of forbid it or tried to forbid him with her because of the class difference, and so she was in Noah's town. See, you killed it for me. She was in Noah's town on summer vacation, and that's when they had all of their fling stuff going on.
Yeah.
So she had to go back home. She ended up going to college. He joined the military. Once he wrote her letters for a whole year, and she never responded, he thought. And so he kind of gave up on her. So he was dating other people.
Did you learn that she never received them?
Later. So after she realizes Noah's still in that town, she was engaged to another guy. She goes back to the town, sees him, kind of has some sparks relight for him. Her mother told her to make the right choice, gave her the letters that he had written that she had never given to her. So she got the whole stack of years worth of letters.
Because her mom had a similar experience?
If somebody hands you a full stack of letters that was for an entire year and they're dated, would you go for the last letter? Or would you start at the first letter and read through them? I know for drama, they had her start at the last letter because that was the closure letter, the letter where he gave up.
Oh.
If it was me, I would have started at the first letter and read through them and saw the progression of the disappointment of never receiving another letter back. But no, she reads the last letter.
I didn't catch that. I didn't know that.
I've seen this a million times. So she reads the last letter. And of course, then she's like, okay, well, he gave up. So maybe he's not the right one. So she had this back and forth, couldn't decide what she wanted. Did she want the upper class guy who would be all the money and could make her happy with money? Or does she want the love of her life who didn't have a lot of money, but would give her happiness? Both of them would make her happy, but Noah was her first true love. So
would give
that's
her joy.
Would give her, I don't know, I guess a different kind of happy, because he was he was a different kind of guy. He had she saw him differently. I would have started at the first letter. Yeah. See, I would start at the first letter and see kind of how everything progressed. That's what I would do. It would drive my OCD crazy to start at the last letter.
I think the rich guy filled some gaps, but then Noah filled all the gaps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Despite all their
bickering,
they were like magnets. They just they felt like they had to be together.
Yeah. So, in the end, she does end up with Noah, and the way the movie kind of starts, it starts at the end of their life and then jumps back and shows you the history, and then goes back to current time, where they end up dying together, arm in arm.
And so you find out that they are both living in the same nursing home.
Well, she needed to be in a nursing home because she has advanced dementia, where she becomes violent with her dementia. he could not be separated from her. After their time apart and them getting back together, he vowed to her that he would never leave her, never be separated from her. So when she had to go and live in that home, he went to live in that home as well, even though he didn't need to be there.
And it was kind of like story time for her, because he would relive all of those memories with her, and it would sometimes
he read the notebook of their life together,
and it would make her recall her memory, and like, just like that, and she would look at him like she actually knew who he was.
Yes.
Said, Noah. Oh.
So some days, yeah, not every day, and it showed that not every day did he come back to her in her memory, but when she did, he would do that every single day for the hope that she would get a glimpse of him and who they were together.
When it was a bad day, she got sedated.
Yeah.
She said, "Who are you? Get away from me."
So this movie for me is an all-time favorite. It's like right up there at the 9.5 to 10 range for me.
I mean, I think the ending was great, because they are in an embrace in bed after she had recovered from one of her episodes, and he was there with her.
She had asked him, "Do you think that our love could take us away together?" And he said, "Our love can do anything we want it to do." And that's when it was the end of it.
Yep. And so the nurse stepped into their room, found them both just laying there, and then that was that. They both went at the same time
in their sleep. So great movie. What do you rate it?
I give it an 8. It was a good story.
All right. So that was The Notebook from 2004. The next one is a classic from 1987, Dirty Dancing. It was recommended by Crystal.
It's got Patrick Swayze.
And
Can't
go wrong with Patrick Swayze.
Jennifer Grey.
Yeah.
She played Jeannie from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
That's where I know her from.
All right. So you want to talk about this one?
Oh, she looks different.
Well, you do that
when you get
50
older.
years.
This story takes place in this, I want to call this
camp, like a summer camp for the rich.
Yeah, not just the rich, the stupid wealthy rich.
I guess like a resort. It would be like a summer resort type place.
And I still got the feel that everybody was just putting on the front for everybody else because they are rich. That was everybody's attitude. And they would have shows, they would have dinners, and the story focuses on these two characters, Patrick Swayze's character and Jennifer Grey.
Yeah. So the workers at this camp had kind of their own little background fun in the evening. They had this dance hall that they would go and dance in the evenings just to kind of let loose and be free and do their own thing.
And there were organized shows. So Patrick Swayze's character put together the dance performances because he was a dance instructor
for the rich people at the camp,
and provide lessons, right?
Right.
He provide lessons.
Yep. He and his lead dance partner.
Yep. And so they prohibited him from doing something because of some drama behind the scenes, and he was wanting to do something a little bit more provocative for the performance, but the rich folk wanted to do the same. Well, they said they wanted to spice it up, but it was still kind of mundane.
Yeah. So, but there was a drama that went on with Patrick Swayze's lead dance partner getting pregnant by one of the other staff members and him denying her, basically. So there was a whole abortion scheme in there where it was a botched abortion that almost killed her. But Baby, the main character, was Jennifer Grey's character. Her dad was a physician, so she had to kind of go. And even though she knew it would make her dad mad, she had to go and kind of have her dad help to save this girl's life because she would have died from infection.
And this was another story that involved two classes of people where Patrick's was of the lower class, and
Mhm.
Jennifer's was
Of the
higher
upper
class.
class.
Yeah,
Yeah.
born into wealth. And so the parents did not, the dad did not approve of that.
He came around in the end.
He did.
He realized that Swayze, even though he didn't have money, he had integrity and character. So in the end, I don't know that he allowed it, but he wasn't angry anymore that his daughter fell in love with him. So overall, it's a good movie. Some great dancing in there.
Yeah.
Just fun to watch. I've always enjoyed watching this movie. I've seen it a million times as well.
And this was, formal dancing, not club dancing.
Yeah, they did merengue and waltz and all those kind of dances, and that's
dances.
what they would show. So it was kind of fun. We dabbled in a little bit of ballroom dancing when we first got married.
Ballroom and swing.
Until we realized that I was way too competitive, and it caused us more grief than anything, because I was a perfectionist and he just wanted to have fun, and
dancing's hard.
That didn't go so good for us. So we didn't stick with that for, I think it was maybe a year we did that.
We did it a couple of years.
Did we? Okay.
Yeah, because
started. Oh, yeah, that's her letter. Okay. Yeah. So what would you rate this movie?
I think this is another one of those 80s classics. I'd probably give it a 7.5.
I give it an 8. What? Yeah, it's in there.
It's
right
out.
Next to that.
No, it's out.
Oh, it's gone? Oh,
We're out of milk, guys.
Oh, had to share that. Okay, so there you have it, 7.5-ish to 8 for Dirty Dancing. The next one is Crazy Rich Asians from 2018, recommended to us by Shelly. This one was interesting.
I think it's funny because it touched on a lot of Asian stereotypes.
Yeah.
It's I guess is just a cultural
Chinese.
thing.
It was Chinese mostly, so their culture was Chinese background.
They're almost.
Do you know what you just said? Nope. Okay. Bye.
They're almost trying to outdo each other, and I don't know. They're very outward with their wealth.
So this was like the top of the spectrum wealthy family. Almost where the son was a prince. I think they referred to him as a prince at one time or another. So kind of like a dynasty type of rich. And then the girl who the son fell in love with was not necessarily lower class. She was a doctor, a New York doctor. I want to say, wasn't it New York? I think it was. But she was a high class doctor. So she wasn't a nobody. But to this family, she wasn't part of their dynasty. She wasn't part of their heritage. So she was considered an outcast.
So this wasn't quite like the Disney Aladdin story, where you've got Aladdin and Jasmine, who is royalty. But it was the fact that everybody was wondering, who is this girl that this guy is dating? As she said, she was in a different class. From their point of view.
So the family had some get-togethers for another family member's wedding. I want to say it was his brother or somebody was getting married. So he invited her to be his +1 at the wedding. So she goes to this it was like a week-long ordeal for this wedding, wedding prep thing. The men all went away to this island and did this stuff. And then the girls went to this dance thing and did their own thing. So they were kind of in separate places for that week and got to know each other's, or she got to know his family, really. I mean, there was nothing with her family, but so the family, kind of was trying to get between them and make him see that she maybe wasn't the one for him, but it just drew him closer to her.
And the main source of conflict was from his mother, who gave her a hard time and disapproved of her the whole time.
So did a background check on her and did all this kind of stuff. Like, who does that? But she did that and said, oh, well, she didn't even do this. She didn't even do that, and blah, blah, blah. And the girl says, well, there was a reason why I didn't do that. And
so in this big party, she was publicly called out. The mother had set it up to embarrass her and force her out, or prevent her from becoming part of the family.
And she left. But he realized that actually, she left, and then she called the mother to come and talk to her and say, look, either way, he loses, because if he chooses you, he loses me. If he chooses me, he loses you. So either way, he loses one of the people that he loves the most.
And so she did say
So that was kind of a wake up call, I think, for the mom.
And she, to add to that, she didn't want to be the one that would cause that separation between he and his mother again.
All right, girl. Well, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, the background thing is crazy. No way. I mean, who does that? Gets a background check on their son or daughter's boyfriend, girlfriend. I mean, that's just crazy.
Well, thanks for joining us.
There. Yeah, thanks for jumping in. Go back and watch Sled. We got like 12 movies today, so jump on and see what you missed later. Anyway, so overall, it was a good story. The mom ended up kind of giving in at the end, and not necessarily giving her stamp of approval for her, but kind of just letting him be with her.
Yeah.
So you see in the end, or she's still not really thrilled about it, but
she sees it.
She sets it up where they can be together.
Gives it a slight nod and then walks away, and that's the last that you see her.
Yeah. So you just assume they're going to live happily ever after.
Yeah.
That's what I want to assume of it anyway.
Yeah.
I would probably give this one a 6.5. It was a little hard to follow in the beginning. It was a good story overall. But it was kind of, for me, it was kind of hard to grasp the beginning and kind of how it was going to flow.
I think I'd probably give it the same rating just because I think it could have been more entertaining than it was.
Yeah.
That's all.
But hey, it was fun to watch, and it was neat to kind of see the dynasty thing come into play with that. So it was a good one. All right. I
was hoping to see more stereotype in there. I love exploiting cultural stereotypes because people learn to appreciate each other's differences and see how we can add to each other.
But they were the same. She was Chinese also, so that wasn't the case. All right, the next one is A Walk to Remember, also recommended by Crystal. Crystal recommended a lot to us this week.
I watched this one with you a long time ago, and I thought it was good back then too.
So it's a Mandy Moore movie. So of course Mandy Moore sings in this, which she has an amazing voice. I love her voice.
And the last movie that we saw her in was she's in 47 Meters Down, that shark movie.
Mandy Moore?
Yeah, she's the girl that survived.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm gonna have to watch that again.
Okay, we'll watch that again. It's a good shark movie.
Not this month. Anyway, this one is basically about a girl who has leukemia
and a kid who's got issues.
He caused injury to a friend, not necessarily intentionally, but as a prank. And it caused him to be paralyzed. And so he had to kind of do community service and other things for it. He got arrested for it because he was trying to dodge the police and made some bad decisions. So we're just going to go with that.
He was trying to be a cool kid and fit in with another group of kids. Was that?
Yeah. Yep. And it did not work out to his benefit.
And he was a little bit bitter because his parents were separated.
He was mad at his dad.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Nope, you're good. And so the two of them had been in school together for years and years, so they knew each other, but he didn't really have a life-changing moment until that accident with his friend.
And I can't remember why he finally started getting attracted to her.
It's not that he got attracted to her. Part of his community service was he had to be in the school production.
Oh, that's right.
So he was picked as the lead role in the school production, which she was a part of. So they had to kind of work closely together because she was one of the leads in that production as well. So he needed to practice his lines because he knew he wasn't really the actor type. So he asked her if he could practice his lines with her. And so she let him come over and do that.
And he was, receiving the instruction and following through with his punishment. He wasn't the kind of character that was just an absolute rebel the whole time.
Yeah.
You can see his growth throughout the movie, which I think is
his gradual change,
a good part of the movie.
Yes, for sure. And then one of the things she made, one of the key parts of this movie was when they first started to work together, she said to him, "I'll work with you, but you have to promise me you won't fall in love with me."
Strange thing
And
to
he's
say
like,
to
"Whatever. I
somebody.
have no interest in you
Like, why would you
whatsoever."
say that?
But then, of course, as true romantic movies go, he did fall in love with her.
Yeah.
And she did have to break the news to him that she had leukemia and she was dying. And so
She was the pastor's daughter,
yeah, the Reverend's daughter. They call it,
and
yeah.
he did not approve of him because of the
He was
type
troublemaker. He
of
called him
how
troublemaker.
of how he knew. Yeah.
Yeah. But he ended up coming around to him and realized that he wasn't so bad, and knew that that's what his daughter wanted, and she was dying, so he wanted to give her her last wishes and let her live the rest of her life the way she wanted to. And so the boy, ended up making a big telescope because she loved looking at the stars, so he made a giant one she could have on her porch. She got to have that before she died, and then also he knew that she would want to experience a wedding, and so he proposed to her, and they got married, and
And
then lived out. I think it wasn't it like the
a
2
summer?
months, or the summertime they said. So I don't know how long into the summer it was before they got married, but she survived through the summer, and then she died in the fall.
And that's all that was said. It didn't show her death or anything
No.
like that. It just talked about it. And throughout that process, the kid was just being more respectful to the dad and trying to earn his respect.
Yeah. So it's a good one. I give it a what?
You could probably watch it with the family, right?
Oh yeah, it's clean. Yeah, good
Yeah,
clean movie.
that's a good one.
It's PG. Yeah, I don't think there's any language that I
Mhm.
remember in it, and there's no gore or anything like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it's clean. I'd probably give it 7.5.
Oh, I can give it an 8.
Okay. Well, there you
Yeah.
have it. 7.5 to 8 for that one. All right. The next one is Poldark from 1996. This was recommended by Mary.
Oh, you.
Oh, me, because he didn't like it.
So good. So as I was watching this, the thing that caught my attention was the score, and she had watched Downton Abbey a while back, and it was almost like a copy of
This one seemed older even than that, though. It was set way back. I mean, it had to have been 1800s.
And but the way that the score was written and the way that it was implemented throughout the movie seemed a lot like Downton Abbey.
Yeah.
That's about it.
The older colonial style movie.
All classical, all orchestral.
So you have to go into that and be ready for that, because you're not going to get anything but that with this movie.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that colonial kind of.
This is an English movie, right?
It is
a British movie.
Uh-huh.
British film.
Yeah, and it was basically about a colony who was trying to survive with a war going on, and the husband of the family went away to London to try to talk with the patriarchs or the parliament or whatever the heck they called it back then, and try to, I don't know if he was, I didn't even get out of it if he was for war or against war, but he was just there trying to get things figured out. But so he was away. His family was starting to get bitter about him being away. A boat had crashed with this guy on it.
Lots of drama while he was gone.
Yeah, and so now he's in this village, and he doesn't fit in, and he starts having the hots for the family's daughter.
Some love drama in there.
Yeah, and he did kind of a rude thing with her, and then leaves. And I don't even really remember why he left, but he left with the son. They ended up fighting. The son came back, and then later he came back, still with some interest for this girl, but also just liking girls in general. But then in the meantime, she had found, and I forget what his rank was, but higher in the patriarchy. So he was kind of a lord, I guess. So he had money, higher class from a richier part of England. And so he kind of had the hots for her too. So it was kind of this love battle between who is she going to pick? Is she going to pick the nobody sailor guy who is kind of a roughneck, or is she going to pick this patriarch guy who could give her more?
This movie had an abrupt ending. I'll say
Yeah,
that.
I mean, you never do find out really who she ends up with. She ends up with in a scuffle with the low class guy, and that's the end.
And then it shows the credits. Thinking, what did I
I
just?
got no closure.
What did I just half
Y'all
watch?
know how I feel about these movies where you get no closure. This one was a movie that you don't get any closure. So for that, it's not going to rank very high with us because I need closure in the end. What was the rude thing he did? So it was more an inappropriate thing. He kind of pulled down the front of her dress, so it revealed her.
Or the shoulder. Was it the shoulder?
Well, he ripped the front of her dress, so it came down and you could see her parcel or whatever they call
corset?
it, corsety thing underneath.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of a rude thing. She's not committed to you, so why are you unclothing her in that way? Like, it was almost like a disrespectful thing to do.
They're out in the middle of the woods.
It's not the way you show affection to a girl.
He completely took advantage of her. Yeah.
So not a good thing to do.
Would have been a stick to the head.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you like colonial type movies, it's a decent flick. You're not going to get closure in the end. You have to imagine who you want her to end up with because it never really says.
I think even though I only half paid attention to when she was watching Downton Abbey, I thought that was more entertaining than this movie was.
And y'all, I couldn't finish Downton Abbey either. It lost me. It lost me with the woman giving up her child. I just couldn't anymore with it. So I didn't even watch all of it, and I never watched the movies, and that's how I ended that one.
So I guess, when comparing those two films, maybe it's just the way British filmmakers tell their stories.
Yeah, I think it's just not my style.
That's my judgment so far. Would I give more a chance to see if I would appreciate it? I don't know.
You're right. He did get a little too aggressive, and it kind of caught me off guard. And I go, "Whoa, okay, this guy is not a good guy. I would not want this guy with my girl either." Yep. So, all right. So 4. That was 4. You're giving it a 4.
Maybe I'll probably give it a 2. Actually,
I was gonna say 3.
3. Okay.
Yeah. So sorry, Mary. This one wasn't on the top of our books. We didn't really care for this one as much, but
oh no, such a good movie.
So there's his opinion. But different movies for different people, which is fine.
Yeah.
The next one is The Vow from 2012.
Oh, okay. So
you can take it away on this one.
I was not around.
Oh, you didn't watch this one.
Yeah.
This was all me.
There you go.
All right. So this is Channing Tatum and Rachel McAdams. Get in here. Which I love both of them. Channing Tatum
Magic Mike.
He's not bad to look at.
He's Magic Mike.
Just saying.
Look at these guns.
And Rachel McAdams.
Guns.
I'll put them away. Rachel McAdams is a good actress, and their chemistry together is just really, really good. So
Rachel McAdams was just in The Notebook that we watched.
Yes, she's in several movies that I like. Yeah, that one. So the movie starts out. They had just gotten married. They're in a car. They're stopped at a stop sign. And she unbuckles, leans over to give him a kiss and say, "I love you." And they get
then she dies.
Pummeled by a
semi?
Nope, not a semi. Snow scraper truck.
Oh.
Truck with a big old snow scraper on the front.
What do you call it?
Snowplow. Plows into them. And she, of course, since she had just unbuckled, and it had to have been clipping because she went flying out the front window. Oh, back way. So it kind of shows her in the hospital. They both get rushed to the hospital. He ends up coming to and they're able to get him in tip-top condition. He's out. He goes to visit her, and she has amnesia. She doesn't remember him. She only remembers her childhood and her parents. She doesn't remember him at all. So it's basically a story about him basically having to get her to fall in love with him all over again because her mind reverted back to her college, how she was in college, which she had done a complete 180 in her personality and different things because she had found out her dad had an affair with one of her classmates.
Ah.
So she got angry with her parents,
Real
ditched her
winner.
parents, kind of changed her tune, realized she didn't want to do law like her dad wanted her to push into. She was an artist. She wanted to be an artist. She wanted to express herself openly in art. He was a musician, so that works well together. Art and music are kind of like perfect, right? So they fell in love with each other, and that he was her person.
You do want to
Um,
express yourself, right, Joanna? You need 37 pieces of flair.
I will not tell you or show you what she did about that moment in the movie.
Oh.
She might have flicked him something.
Would she kick him in the groin?
No, she flipped him the bird.
Oh, in this movie, The Vow?
Oh, in the movie you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. This is her expressing herself.
Anyway, back to The Vow. So she ends up realizing then that the reason that she was with him was because that's who she was meant to be with. And she ends up, in the end, they end up re-dating each other and making, he gets her to fall in love with her.
Like 50 First Dates.
No, nothing like 50 First Dates.
But he had to make her.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So in that sense, yeah. But she didn't, yes. So yes. Okay. No, Rose the lawyer and did it with yeah.
Who's
So
the
it's
lead
bad, huh?
Who's the lead actor? Oh, Magic Mike.
Channing Tatum.
Yeah. Step It Up.
Yes, Step It Up. So it was a good movie. I would probably give that one. I mean, I was into it. It was good. It had good drama. It had good good bones in that movie.
Good bones.
I would give it an 8.5.
I'll give it a not applicable.
Because he didn't watch it. But you should go back and
NA.
watch it because I think you'd really like it. It's really good.
Oh, yeah, you did say that.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, and that means a lot because she knows that I'm not a fan of these movies.
Yeah. Okay, the next one was Enola Holmes, recommended by Jen. So this was kind of, I guess this could kind of be a mix of our crime mystery along with our romancy, whatever, too, because Enola Holmes is
11.
okay. So the character is 11 from Stranger Things, but that's
And she's not 11 anymore. She's probably 13.
She is the sister of Sherlock Holmes. So it kind of shows the history of that and how their oldest brother, Maximilian, I think is his name, and Sherlock leave. And then it's just the mother and the sister left because the father had died. So the mother was raising Enola by herself, and Enola backwards is
alone.
Alone. And so she was raising her to be independent, self-sufficient, and watchful of her environment and the things around her. So she basically trained her daughter from birth to be an investigator. And so she ends up going out and doing what Sherlock does and kind of solves crimes, solves mysteries. In the first one, so I watched both. There's Enola Holmes 1 and 2. I watched both of them. So I guess we could just lump them both together. One was from 2020. The other one was from 2022.
Did she work alongside the police?
No.
Okay. She
worked in spite of the police.
Oh, okay.
Kind of did her own investigating. So in the first one, she's helping this boy who is the son of one of the royals and had some issues going on. So she helps him solve his mystery thing. And then she finds her mother. So that was her goal in the first movie. In the second one, she opens her own business as an investigator. She's having struggles getting it up and going because people don't trust women investigators because in that time, in that era, women didn't hold jobs of importance like that. It was still where the women's lib era was not happening, right? Women didn't have the right to vote. They were considered, lesser at the time. So she was having a really hard time getting people to come and hire her as an investigator. She did have this one little girl that came in and said, "Hey, I need you to help me find my sister." So she took on the case because instantly she was, drawn to this girl and wanted to help this girl. Well, she ended up solving the case and actually found out that some of the people that were supposed to be good or part of this factory that were supposed to be helping people have jobs were poisoning them and killing them. And it was a big cover-up sting operation kind of thing. So she ended up busting that organization and stopping them from doing these mass killings of the lower class women. So it was kind of that, okay, well, we're going to give this freedom to the women and get them jobs that they deserve to have, not jobs that are going to kill them off. So it kind of led into the be a strong woman, push for women voting, push for equality between men and women. So I liked it. I thought it was good. I like that kind of investigator style of show. I like the Sherlock Holmes movies, and I thought these were even more interesting because she just brought a different dynamic to it, being female and seeing different things.
Being a young female and not an adult like Sherlock was.
Yeah. And you kind of see her and her brother Sherlock collaborating on some things. So they would go to each other and say, hey, this is my case. Can you give me some insight on what you see just from the outside? And so they kind of did a little bit of that back and forth with each other, which was kind of neat to see that link between Sherlock and Enola and how they kind of worked together, but with separate cases. So I think you would enjoy them too.
Okay.
They were both really good. And the love part of it, how that comes into it is she fell for that son of the royal that she helped in the first movie. So she ended up with him in the end, as in romantically with him.
I didn't realize that there was a relationship.
Yeah. So you don't really get that until the second movie. That's when they end up. I mean, they kiss in the first movie, just one little gentle kiss. But then in the second movie, they end up realizing that they want to be with each other and that they can pull that off with what she does. So,
okay.
It's good. It's good. I would probably give both of the movies overall an 8.
Wow.
I thought they were really good. Really, really good.
Maybe one of these times we'll pop on the TV.
All right. And the next one, I also watched alone. So several of these movies I watched at a girls' crafting event. So it was hours upon hours of just sitting and watching movies while we're crafting. So the next one is called Happiness for Beginners from 2023. It was not good. Yeah. I don't even know if I really want to talk. So basically,
what would you rate it?
Like a 2.
Next.
Okay, but I'll give a little down low about it. So it was very okay. So the whole setup was it was a hiking trip for single adults looking to find peace within something.
Are they trying to discover themselves?
Yeah, kind of like that.
People need to stop discovering themselves.
So I want to say there was like 10 of them that go off on this hiking trip. And so the leader dude had to be maybe 20, if even that, stupid young. And he's taking all these older adults.
He has lived.
Well, then, of course, you have your token gay Asian that's in there. Why is it always? Why are they always Asian or black? It's I don't know. It's like not really ever female anymore. You only see either Asian. I don't know. So he was funny. He brought the funny to it. He kind of did the silly stuff.
Did he sound like an Asian?
He did.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah. So anyway, they go out on this camping trip. They have all these mishaps, all these things that are happening and going wrong with them. And the Asian guy he actually fell over a log and like busted up his foot and stuff. And they had to go get a stretcher and get help and go get him because he kept passing out because he couldn't handle the pain. And he was kind of the weakling in the group, I guess. But he was still funny about it. But anyway, so in the end, they realize, okay, well, maybe camping wasn't the way for us to discover, whatever. But we kind of got some enlightenment from it. And at the end, like the head leader guy was saying all this, peace with Mother Earth and blah, 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 and happiness and joy and peace and grounding. And
sounds like they need to do the cinnamon challenge. Or the Tide Pod challenge.
So I don't know. That kind of thing is not for. I mean, I'm not all for the. Yeah, peace, hope, love, nature will cure all things kind of thing.
That one movie with what's her face was so annoying. Eat, Pray, Love. She was
Yeah.
discovering herself too. Well, she failed.
So I like Julia Roberts, and I wanted so much to love that movie.
Aaron Brockovich is way better.
And so there were some aspects to that movie that I liked, and I liked her, but the overall theme of the movie was kind of a but anyway, so Happiness for Beginners, I say was okay, can you stop? I say was a flop, and I rated about a 2. It wasn't
There you
good.
go.
And all the others that were sitting watching it with me were like, well, who picked this movie? This
Hit
so
so
I had to
hard.
apologize over and over because I thought it looked good in the preview and it was not, and that was my movie choice. So that was a flop. I don't recommend that one. The next one is 13 Going on 30 from 2004. So I've seen this one 10 billion zillion times as well.
This is a funny one.
It's good, and it is funny, and it's one that I enjoy watching over and over and over.
And it's what is her name? Is it Garner?
Yeah, Jennifer Garner.
She was in Yes Day, I think.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
basically about a 13-year-old girl who thinks it looks glamorous from the magazines to be 30. She says 30, flirty and thriving.
No,
So
that's right. Yeah.
kind of her thing. And she gets her wish because her friend Matt puts wish glitter on her dollhouse that he made for her. And it falls on her head while she's saying 30, flirty and thriving. 30, flirty and thriving.
And then she
wakes
wakes
up 30, flirty and thriving.
And then
Realizes
she's at puberty.
so it's kind of going through, okay, well, maybe she goes through and realizes, okay, the person who is kind of not her friend in middle school, high school, whatever. 13, are they in high school?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 13, when she was 13, this girl was not her friend. She was one of the 6 chicks, is what they called the cliquey in
The
group.
popular girls
And,
that were really not nice.
Garner's character was not part of that group, really. She was seen as an outsider from that group.
She was a normal person.
But when she's 30, this girl was working with her, for her, really, as she was an editor at her favorite magazine, Poise. So, but she realizes that this girl's backstabber and really did not have her interest in mind and did not care about her. And so she runs into Matt, or goes and finds Matt, who was her high school best friend, and realized they had these different lives, and she wondered how they got so away from each other. And
because her memory stopped at 13. And of course, in this
life
new reality, he knows her differently because he ended up rejecting her.
Well, not rejecting her, but she rejected
I'm sorry,
him.
She rejected him. I got my words backwards.
Because she wanted to be this certain image.
Yeah.
But then in the whole scheme of things, she realized that image was not what she really wanted. She really wanted Matt. And so it flashes back to her being 13, and she goes and pursues Matt, who was the one who really cared about her and was really the one to be important to her. So
played by the guy that played Hulk in the recent Marvel movies.
Matt Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Or Mark Ruffalo. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a good one. It's funny. It's cute. It's clever. I like it. I just like it. I give it an 8.
I enjoy that one. It's just for the entertainment value. I give it 7.5.
All right. There you have it. And then our last one we squeezed in last night. It is The Great Gatsby from 2013. So this has Matthew Damon? No, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio is the main character. He is Gatsby in this. And it has, what's his name?
Joel
Spider-Man.
Edgerton is from
Tobey Maguire.
Yep. And it's got Joel Edgerton from Warrior and also Zero Dark 30. And there's another Zero Dark 30 guy in there. So I remember reading, well, I don't remember. I remember reading it, but I didn't remember what the story is about. But this was probably a high school reading assignment. And old sport, he used that phrase a lot, and that kind of rung a bell.
And the way he said it, old sport.
Yeah.
Old sport.
So I found it entertaining in that this guy was mysterious. Nobody knew where his money came from. He threw all these extravagant parties, and there was this fascination about him.
And nobody knew why.
Yeah.
And
he was an icon.
And we had to go back and look it up because we didn't remember it from the book, because it's been over 20 years that we read that book. he did get he self-proclaimed as rich and just started living extravagantly, earning his money through crime, stealing it and gambling and doing other such things to kind of have the money to live extravagantly. But he was a self-proclaimed rich man.
And there was a love triangle involved in this story that was perhaps a good portion of the story. And there was infidelity
pursued
and
her. He pursued her even when she married somebody else.
yeah.
He just continued on and on and on and just pushed and pushed and pushed for what he wanted. And it ended up being his demise. in the
Yeah, so
end.
it was a tragedy in that regard because I actually did not see that coming.
Yeah, I didn't remember that either from the book.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was. I need to go back and read the book. It's been too long.
So one of the disgruntled characters ends up killing him because
He
he
thinks
thinks that he had done something. He had killed his wife.
run her down when
Yeah.
she ran it out into the road, but it wasn't him. It was the girl he was pursuing who was driving the vehicle, and he was covering up for her to protect her.
Yeah.
And that ended up being his demise, his end, because that husband then was bitter and angry and came after him with a gun and killed him in his own home.
And it was sad because he lost the girl that he was pursuing.
Mhm.
And
He was about to lose everything that he had built.
yeah.
And so I think in that sense, the murder needed to happen because he would not have been able to live with peace, losing everything he had spent his entire life pursuing.
And the other sad thing was that the character played by Tobey Maguire was his only real friend that he had.
The only one who showed up to his funeral.
So it was sad.
It kind of shows that money
It was
doesn't really
sad.
buy you happiness. Money doesn't really get you
Yeah.
what you think it's going to. The people that are attracted to you when you're rich like that and living extravagantly they're only there for the show. They're only there for the party. They're not there to pick you up when you're down. That's
For instance, if you're the middle class and then all of a sudden you win the lottery, you need to pay attention to those heads that pop up because
all of a sudden
where were those
did
people
not have a
before?
care about you before that. Exactly. So watch your back.
Yeah.
Because they don't really care about you. All right. So I thought it was well done. It's a musical. So you have to be ready to sit down and watch a musical. It was very musical. It had a lot of
It was very colorful.
very colorful. We had said at one point, wow, there's so much color, almost so much color that it was
was a lot.
mesmerizing at certain parts. You
Yeah.
didn't really know what the focal point was in the room. That was when they were having their big extravagant parties. And I guess that was the point, that it was just over the top too much for him to get all of this attention. He just wanted to live just beyond over the top.
Yeah, so it had some great cinematography just because of that, the way they portrayed this lavish
Yeah.
lifestyle.
Yeah, for sure.
And I liked the way that it was filmed in general. I
Mhm.
liked all of the characters. You were kind of invested in them.
Yeah.
And
You wanted to find out what was going to happen.
yes,
Mhm.
exactly.
Mhm.
And I think it was the out of metaphors again, but his death was an appropriate ending for this film.
Yes. I think any other way would have been devastating to the character.
Yeah.
I mean, this was devastating to the character as well, but he would not have been able to. I think potentially it would have drawn him to wanting to end his own life had he had to deal with losing everything he had pursued. So,
And his legacy was somewhat carried on because Tobey Maguire's character wrote a book about it.
yes, and told the story, and
about
that was
his mysterious.
So that was basically what the movie was, is retelling. He was writing the story and retelling it
Yeah.
as he was putting it into words.
So it was great to see Tobey Maguire in a different role because I've only known him from his handful of Spider-Man movies, really.
Yeah. I would probably give this one an 8. I thought it was well done, and the cinematography was amazing. The
Yeah.
songs were good.
I'd
thought it was
probably give it an 8 also. I mean, I really like Leonardo DiCaprio. He's
do
a
too.
great well-rounded actor.
Agreed. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So that's a wrap. That is our first week of love and romance movies. And we've got a list still going. We've got a list that was recommended to us. We couldn't obviously get them all in 1 week. So we have a good couple more weeks of recommendations, but we would love to have some more. So go ahead and throw some more our way. Let us know what you think. If you've seen these movies, if you agree with us, those of you who recommended them to us, what do you think about our rating? Would you agree, disagree, and why? We would love to hear from you and hear kind of why you chose that movie, why you recommended it to us, and what you loved about it. We would love to hear that, even if we did not enjoy the movie, because like I said before, every movie is made for a specific type of person. So that's why there's so much variety in movies, that there's going to be some that some like and some don't.
I think it's cool that we've kind of started this channel to experience all of these movies. It's a way to, I don't know, study storytelling and
we've gotten
enjoy
some grief
movies.
for some of our reviews. Like I think we got the most grief from Tombstone,
yeah.
review. We were not a fan of that movie, and we got a lot of backlash from it. But we welcome that, because
I thought it was okay. I thought it was good, but our review was not
what people thought it should have been, as the classic movie that it was. So, and there were some things maybe we didn't understand about it, that we didn't know the history about it. We were just watching the movie for pure cinematic benefit, without knowing any of the history. So since then, we've researched some of the history, and we kind of see the whys and the how-tos for that movie. But
and that was kind of
would I change my review? Probably not. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't a movie for me.
And while we're doing this, that was kind of when we were first starting, and much like my photography hobby, I learned how to critique a photo. And so I think we're just overall learning how to critique movies, but really just enjoying watching movies together and just giving our opinion.
Yep, for sure.
We're not critics. We're just giving you our opinion.
Just our honest, what we like. And so you don't have to share that opinion, and we'd love to hear what your opinion is about them. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for going back and watching later. For those of you who do that, we know several of you do that. Go back and watch it later. So we appreciate you. If you do that, please give a comment. Hey, I watched. Even if you don't watch it all, just a little bit, that's okay. Give us a comment. That really does help us out. So we'd love to hear from you.
And so this Friday faves coming up is going to be some great sports movies.
And we have a good movie for you on Tuesday. So tune in on Tuesday. All right. We'll check you later next Sunday, 9:30. Bye.
See you next time. End stream.